when the event is so clear, you know, it is just immediately, or you define it without a doubt as an emergency situation, then you tend to forget about what others think. Okay? You know, if you see a car barreling through a group of pedestrians and you're right in the middle where the car is headed, you're probably not going to look around and say, "Are you guys moving?" You'll probably be out of there. You know, it's instantly decided this is an emergency. You know, I'm responding. Okay? Or if your best friend or a family member is in the way of that car, you're probably not going to look to see what others are doing. This is somebody that is important to you. You're going to respond. You instantly decide that this is an emergency, or you clearly decide that it's an emergency. As I said, the more bystanders present, the more likely it is we will assume someone else will help. I've pretty much already said this, so we can move right on. If we're unsure of our own perceptions and interpretations, we try to decide from others. If the situation's a little ambiguous, we look to others for what's going on. And has anybody been in a situation where you could intervene, or maybe you did intervene, and you can kind of give a personal illustration of something like this? You hope you never do, huh? Yeah.
I remember one time all those kids were in the van, the mom's car was in the store, and my brother started tripping at his TV. My brother was the one that grew up. I don't know if it's because he was the oldest boy, and he assumed responsibility. Or if I can't remember if he was closest to him, if he's the one who did the Heimlich.
And he obviously assessed it as an emergency quickly and clearly. Okay. Anyone else know of a situation? I may have told you the one where I stopped to help a woman that was getting beat up. Did I mention that? I didn't? Oh. It was not, I don't know if that was one of my brighter moments, but driving through Birmingham, lots of traffic. And I drove by this car, and there's this guy driving the car, of all things, reaching over and beating these two women that are sitting beside him in the front seat. And then I saw them pull over to the side, I mean right near the airport, right downtown Birmingham. So I pulled off, I passed them, I pulled off, and another car pulled in behind me. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh great, now what? And he ran up to me and he said, "Did you see what that guy was doing? Beating up on those women?" I said, "Yeah, I did." He said, "You think we ought to do something?" I said, "I guess." So we backed up, got there, and as soon as we got there, the guy jumped out of the car and opened the hood of the car like he was working on the car. You know, the car broke down. And the guy that was with me, he went around, and I could see the ladies saying, "He's going to kill us, he's going to kill us." So I just was trying to talk to and distract the guy working under the car, which there's nothing wrong with the car. And I said, "Having some problems?" "Yeah, this crazy car, I don't know what the deal is." And he had these boots on, and I saw him reach down to the side of his boot, and I thought, oh no. You know, he's coming out with a knife or a gun. Of course, he was between me and the traffic, so I decided he was going to become a traffic stop. And if he tried to, I was already kind of ready for him. That may not sound real good, but that's what was in my brain. And so then these girls ran out of his car, and he went around to stop them. And they ran around the car, so I'm sitting there kind of watching what's going on. And one of them grabbed the coil wire off the car, and I don't know why she thought of that, and threw it in the weeds, and ran and got in this other guy's car that stopped with me, and he was trying to beat on the car and get in, and I looked at him, he looked at me, and I said, "Whoa, you really are having some problems. I don't think it's car problems." Although I knew it was now, because they just threw the coil wire away. And so he came and said, "Oh, those crazy women, they're drunk." I said, "I guess that's why you were hitting on them, wasn't it?" "Oh, I wasn't trying to hurt them." And, you know, I don't know. Well, of course, the story didn't end there, but anyway, we all lived to tell about it. I actually took him somewhere, which was one of my dumb moments. And but he said, just drive me up. He said, take me to this house. I said, no, I'll take you to that gas station up there, which was all a pretty populated place, which still wasn't smart. And took him up there. He said, go, turn right. It's right here. And I turned and I went under this overpass, and it was nothing but deserted area. And the guy reached in his boot again. I don't know if he was itching or what, but I hit my brakes just really hard. And he went, and I stared at him, and he stared at me, and I said, what are you doing? Nothing. I just looked at him. I thought, this is not going to end well. One of us is in trouble, and I think it may be me. And so he said, no, I'm serious. I'm cool. I'm okay. He said, right there is where I'm going. He said, just turn left behind that building. And I saw a guy on a phone, and I pulled right in by that guy on the phone. I said, this is as far as you're going, buddy. And he looked at me and said, you're a preacher. Well, I hadn't done anything that I knew of except contemplate kicking him into this road, so I didn't know why he would think I was a preacher. I said, what makes you think so? I could just tell. Tell me the truth. You're a preacher. I said, yes, I am. Well, then we started talking about the Lord. There's a church close by that I knew about, so I told him to go there. I'm sure he did. And, no, you never know. But when I did get home, my wife had other thoughts on what I had done. They were not real positive. And she said, the next time you help a maiden in distress, remember that you have a maiden in distress at home, so do not do that again. And what's interesting is I passed another situation. Alabama must be something, I don't know. On Interstate 20 on the way to school with a carload of kids. I mean, I held sometimes 9 kids with me to school, and I saw a guy slap a woman on the side of the road. Again, very busy highway, and then I saw him kind of separate, and I looked, I had 9 kids in the back. Guess what I did?
Went on.
I drove on. Of course, I also thought later, and this is a cynical view, okay? I'm going to be cynical here, not positive. After I had intervened in that situation, and the funny thing was when those girls got in that guy's car, he looked at me and said, what do I do? I said, get them out of here. He said, what about you? I said, yeah, what about me? I said, get them out of here, get them safe, I'll figure something out here. So he ran around, got in his car, and drove off. And then I really did feel stupid, but some reason at the time, maybe the adrenaline's pumping, it wasn't quite sinking in that this was could have been a really bad situation. But that second time I saw that, I wasn't going to risk the kids. But I also thought later, I said, which is what I started to tell you, I intervened, and do you know what the chances are that those 3 were together before that day, again, before that day was over? I'd say close to 100%. They were probably in this relationship by choice. I mean, that was my impression even after the fact. Now, that's not always the case when somebody's trying to hurt somebody, but in this case I decided probably they were just back together anyway. Probably kind of a typical day for them, or a typical bad day. But I don't know whether it was a smart thing or not, but I did it. I remember driving home on a very dark night, and as I was going up Highway 77, I looked and I thought I saw a truck, an 18-wheeler, turned over in a field. And I thought, is that? So I backed up and I could get my lights in there where I could see, and sure enough, there was an 18-wheeler on its side. And nobody around. I mean, couldn't even see any house lights anywhere. And I'm going to tell you, I felt 100% responsibility to check that out, and 100% nerves. That was nerve-wracking. I don't know why that bothered. It bothered me more than the guy and the women in Birmingham. I don't know why. It was like, what am I going to find? What am I going to do? And boy, was I ever glad when I got up there to that truck and nobody was in it. And but I felt both the responsibility to do something, and also, man, this is all mine. If I mess up here, somebody's life could be at stake. I stopped in another accident once, and there were about 4 or 5 people there. And I stopped, saw this car down in the water, and I thought, oh, great, I don't want to get in the water. December. And so I went down there, and there was a guy that was already down there, and he said, I think the car's empty. I said, wonderful. And I left. You know, had a head-on collision. I didn't. Right beside me, a car was passing me. And it was a married couple in one car, and grandfather and 2 little kids in the other car. And when we stopped, there was a lot of us. I was the first one there, but we stopped, and there were several of us. And I'll tell you what, I was glad that I was not the only one there. And there were several people just jumping in, taking charge, and trying to help out until the EMTs got there. But that diffusion of responsibility there was encouraging everybody to get involved. Nobody was standing back saying, what do we do? You know, we just went for it. And when everybody was responding, there was a lot of strength and encouragement in that you were not alone, or that I was not alone. You know, some of you could maybe handle that, you know. I'm not Mr. EMT. And, so this bystander effect is pretty powerful on us, how we respond or don't respond. And it's interesting to think of it as Christians. How do we influence one another to be involved as Christians, to do God's work? Is it easier when you have others with you? I've often wondered, why did Jesus send out the disciples by 2s? I think there's strength and encouragement in that for most people. And I'm a believer in ministry being something that is really effective if you can do team ministry. I don't think a pastor should do everything. I think he needs a team, whether they're hired or not. I think he needs a team that works with him. And I think that's the most effective form of ministry for positive reasons. And it can also be a strength to keep you from doing things you should not do. I have some friends, and we talk about keeping an eye on each other and, you know, helping each other, and don't let anybody do anything stupid. One of my friends says, save me from myself. If I start doing something stupid, you make sure you say something. You stop me. You know, the strength of working together. I think that's very biblical. We're taught that it's the body of Christ, and we need every part of the body if we're ever going to be strong. If you want to be at your strongest, you want to work within the body of Christ and glean the benefits and the strengths of others who have strengths that you don't have. And that's the power of any relationship. So relationship should be one. A good relationship is one where you're stronger together than you are apart. Because you blend your strengths, even your weaknesses, and you work together.